Hey guys, Trevor John coming at you with the Diablo 4 video. All right, on this one is going to be pretty much I feel like a pretty crucial topic with Diablo 4, and that's really going to be what class is going to be the most overpowered in Diablo 4. We were able to play all of the classes. I personally did not finish the Barbarian class. Unfortunately, I did not make that one to level 25. However, I was able to consult with a couple other players that I knew were hardcore Barbarian fans and kind of get their perspective on leveling, gameplay, how they experienced it, and really dove into it as far as what they liked and didn't like. I was able to take that knowledge along with my knowledge of leveling a character to 25 to kind of make a few summaries about Diablo 4 and the actual characters that are going to be playable, and kind of come up with a summary, so to speak, of what's going to be the best class to play in Diablo 4, as well as what to kind of expect with Diablo 4 moving forward. All right, so with the conclusion of the last beta in Diablo 4, it's become really apparent what classes are going to be the most played and probably the most powerful moving forward. Now, there are a few disclaimers that I want to point out, and that's the simple fact that we only played the beta up until level 25. Unfortunately, we were not able to play any of the in-game. We were able to do the world boss and a little bit of basically all of Act 1. However, there's still some more things that were locked to us that did not allow us to really dive in and figure a lot out. For example, Nightmare campaign was not unlocked for us, so we were not able to do a lot of the mechanics inside of Diablo 4 that will come with the release of the game on June 6th, June 2nd for those who pre-ordered the deluxe version or the ultimate version, I believe. But something to kind of take away from all of that, right, is the simple fact that we were able to play, and it became very apparent that classes weren't necessarily balanced properly. Now you're going to see as we talk here, I'm going to have footage going on behind me that's going to kind of show you more about, like, show you the play style, show you some gameplay of the different classes. I was able to play all of them other than the Barbarian, and I noticed a few things that I thought were very interesting, so to speak. And the simple fact that normally these would not be something that I would talk about or bring up, but I didn't want to go ahead and talk about them. And it's a simple fact that the first beta that we had, it really became apparent that the sorcerer was going to be the king and or queen of the damage possibilities for Diablo 4. It was super apparent. Leveling a sorcerer was so much quicker and easier than anything else at the time of the first one, right? Keep in mind, it's only level 25. This does not give you a full snapshot of these characters, and as you see with all the guide builds that are magically showing up, those are just to 25, so that doesn't show you an accurate representation of what the player and character is going to actually be able to achieve once the full game is launched and you get max level and you start into those paragon levels, right? Because that's where the game's actually going to come alive and you're actually going to feel like you're engaged in doing something in Diablo 4, whereas our beta experience was, yeah, sure, a couple hours of gameplay and your max character. However, half a dozen one or the other, if that's a good indication as far as the health and the longevity of the game, right? That's nothing to be taken away from the simple fact that the sorcerer was one of those things where at early game, the sorcerer feels super powerful, very OP. Now, the Hydra, we all know that was basically the go-to ability for the sorcerer. It's going to be one of those things where I feel like that may be more prevalent when the game launches and people are actually going to level their characters. One thing to kind of take away from that, though, is the simple fact that just because it may feel better to go ahead and level the sorcerer at the beginning does not mean that the aspects actually that modify the skills on the sorcerer make it the best class to play, right? No different than there was a lot of complaints that the Barbarian was absolutely horrendous to level. However, they said it was super tanky. They felt like they could take any type of hits. Brutus didn't kill most of them, and they could do a Thorns build that just allowed them to walk around and basically counterattack and kill things, right? That type of build was amazing. That was a very first of its class, I would say, with Diablo 4. Obviously, the game hasn't launched yet, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of interesting builds, right? However, the concept of a life regen and Thorns build makes for a very interesting dynamic. However, it was probably the worst one to level, right? So does that mean that it's going to be the most OP because it was the worst one to level? Is this how this is going to work? It's going to be unilateral where oh, if it's super easy to level to max level and then it's going to plateau super fast, or is it going to skyrocket? It's kind of like talking about, I think, the Witch Doctor in Diablo 3. There's very few builds that are really in the game viable builds. However, it's super quick to level up, right? Kind of the same concept we're bringing up here, only we're comparing it to Diablo 4 when we don't actually know the end game. This is also very apparent when we started playing the second beta, right? The second beta actually unlocked the Druid and the Necromancer. Now, the Druid, I think 90% of the people out there said, oh man, the Druid is god awful. It's terrible to level. It's a travesty. So bad. However, when you start looking into it and you start talking to people, like myself, for example, I played the Druid and I actually enjoyed it. I went with a wolf build. It fit my play style, which is what I enjoyed about it, right? I think the biggest difference in the fact is that the best build wasn't even the one that I was doing, but it made the Druid super powerful. I think it was the stone modifier build, if I remember, and allowed players to do a metric amount of damage to bosses and enemies, like over 1500 damage at level 25 without max gear. Like, that's pretty decent on a beta anyways. And keep in mind, a lot of these numbers, a lot of these metrics, most of these builds you're going to see as far as viability coming when the game launches, are going to be pretty much nil. So you really need to take the experience that you had in the beta and really apply it to a build, to a thought, to a I would say a skill process that tailors around your own player ability and your own skills that you yourself enjoy playing. So for me, Druid was not bad at all. However, when I switched to the Necro, I don't know what happened, but it was as if the beta just went massively downhill for me. And I don't mean that because the Necro was a hard character to play. It actually wasn't bad to play. It felt very good. It felt very overpowered. It was much more overpowered than even the Sorcerer, in my opinion, and allowed for pretty much any solo activity out there, right? You didn't have to worry about anybody if you had the Necro. However, I noticed my game did not respond accordingly, right? Playing the Rogue, playing the Sorcerer, playing the Druid. Gameplay solid, constant. I had 0 DCs, I had 0 hardware problems. However, the second I switched to the Necro, it's as if there's a bug or a glitch in the code, and I would just ran into problem after problem after problem, and I really didn't know how to fix it. I know the topic is, hey, what's going to be the best class to play? My concern with that is I think the Necromancer is going to be the most overpowered class in the Diablo 4 franchise, at least until I'm assuming we'll get Paladin at some point. Who knows? We may get another class as well. I would imagine Paladin's kind of like in their back pocket. They hinted with it in the story mode there, and it's just one of those highly sought after type builds that people enjoy, right? But the thing that I'm getting at is the Necromancer felt the strongest and the most OP with very minimal skills and skill you needed to play, which is great for casual, right? For casual gameplay, that's amazing. You know, what better than trying to get your girlfriend, your wife, your fiance, your significant other to play a game and going, hey, this is super casual. You play this character and you can definitely beat everything, right? Like they're more apt to do it, right? So it's great. However, the single fact that I had all kinds of issues playing the game as a Necromancer is like a massive red flag, okay? Because I don't know if it's just that class, if it was a glitch in the Matrix and it was just for that day, because I only played the Necromancer technically the Saturday and Sunday. Friday, I maxed out my Druid. I don't know. I can't speak to that, for example. But what I wanted to point out is the simple fact that most of you guys are on agreement that, hey, yeah, the Necromancer is just amazing. However, how amazing is a class going to be if it's causing you issues in gameplay? Think, for example, what if you're a hardcore player and you have bugs like I had during the beta? I would not have my character. I would have died and I would have lost my character and been furious because it would have been out of my hands because it was just a glitch because of the character, right? Things like that really have to be taken into consideration when you're thinking about what do I want to play, what do I want to achieve in Diablo 4, and how do I want to progress? I would say, honestly, the Sorcerer and the Necromancer are going to be the two most popular classes in Diablo 4. I would say the next one following is probably going to be the Barbarian or the Druid, primarily for that big DPS tank type abilities, especially for hardcore players. And I definitely think Rogue is probably going to be the least played as far as all of them are concerned. However, myself, that's going to be my most favorited class out there. we were able to figure out a really powerful build that played amazing for my playstyle, as well as a up close and combat, like close quarters build that also played to my playstyle. So it was really nice that I had two viable options. I'm going to go with the rogue. It's probably going to be the most versatile to learn Diablo 4 as far as whether you want to do like ranged attacks, if you want to do close combat, if you want to do sneak attacks, if you want to do like dash and go attacks. I think a rogue is going to be the best case for a lot of people out there, especially beginners to Diablo 4. I'm probably going to do a dedicated video where we just talk about, okay, what are the best beginner-friendly builds or best beginner-friendly classes to play in Diablo 4 to learn Diablo 4, because they are really trying to attract that casual audience, as well as I'll go into a more detailed build because I'm going to be playing the rogue myself, and I have to start theory crafting to get ahead. I do realize, yes, we have almost 2.5 months until the game launches. However, that time will disappear super quick, and trust me, you guys don't want to get caught with your pants down and not knowing exactly what you're going to be doing as of launch. Overall, to kind of summarize the video so that you guys know what's going on, what was I trying to achieve and talk to you guys about, is the simple fact that do not go look at build guides and go, yes, this is the build I'm going to go with, because unfortunately, no one has anything above level 25 experience-wise, so it's probably not going to be very, very impactful. However, what was very, very apparent is the simple ease of use. Characters such as the Sorcerer and the Necromancer are probably going to be the two most common classes played in Diablo 4. As of right now, they feel the most overpowered, and as you continue to go down their skill kit, they're going to have the necessary resource points to really spec them up higher to do more damage, and they already do a massive amount of damage at such a low level at 25. Next is going to probably be the Druid class. That seemed to be the most popular with the Shapeshifter. It allowed for both tanky play and dynamic play. It allowed for curated for almost every type of play style other than AoE, and allowed for a crap ton of damage with super beefiness. So it's going to be a hardcore class favorite. Barbarian, once again, super tank. Barbarian, it's almost as if there's like a cult following, like Barb Gang, I think is what they call it. I don't know, it's weird. But I think that's going to probably be the next one after the Druid. And unfortunately, my rogue class is going to be probably the least played in Diablo 4, but I think it's going to be the best one in slot, at least for beginners to learn how to play Diablo 4, to learn what kind of playstyle benefits them, because they're going to have versatility with both range, shorts, stealth, dash, drop, go builds. You have a lot of diversity that's going to come with the rogue, and I feel like that in itself is going to lend a lot of players to hopping in Diablo 4 and having a great experience. Overall, I don't think there is a bad or non-viable class in Diablo 4 as of right now. We will find out. The biggest problem that we have currently is the simple fact that it's just the unknowns. We don't know how high is the character going to scale. We also don't know what is the end game going to look like. What kind of character do you need for the end game? And also, we just don't know in general, how are they going to allow a lot of things in the game to grow and develop, okay? That's gonna kind of do it for this video. I just wanted to touch base really quickly and kind of figure out, okay, what is the best, absolute best class to play in Diablo 4, and kind of put it out there to get your mind going, so that way when the game launches in June, you are thoroughly prepared. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.